You know, folks, the whole world is talking about Bitcoin. Want to know why? Maybe it's because Bitcoin rose in value over 150% last year, and this is just the beginning. Bitcoin is online investing that anyone can do. Visit bitcoinuniversity.org today. Take a master class. Download the Book of Bitcoin and take your investment portfolio to the next level. Visit bitcoinuniversity.org and discover all that a Bitcoin can do for you. That's bitcoinuniversity.org, bitcoinuniversity.org.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
So let's go to Michael Goodwin. Mike, and we are fired up today, Michael. Michael, first, let's get to you with this big, huge meeting with President Biden and President-elect Trump. We all saw the biggest smile on Biden's face, it seemed.
Yeah, it's hard. There's so many tea leaves, it's hard to read them all. But you have to think that Biden's appearance and what he has said and the fact that they spent so much time alone, or I guess with just one aide each, it does raise questions about what they were really talking about. President Trump told the Post they were talking about essentially Ukraine and the Israel conflict, and that he wanted to get Joe Biden's positions and views and knowledge on them. And for this meeting to go on 2 hours, I think is quite something. And it's interesting. I mean, they're both, they've both been around a long time. They've both been president. They know what it's like. And so that despite these huge differences, which of course included Biden calling Trump basically a Nazi and everything else, that they could sit there and have this conversation, be civil about it, and at least from Trump's point of view, it was very useful and collegial. I think that's wonderful for the country.
Yeah, I do too. They kept talking, by the way, smooth transition. Yes, smooth transition. And again, Biden just seems relieved. It's almost like it's a different Biden we've seen since Kamala lost.
Well, it's funny, I think they have something in common, right? That neither one of them wanted Kamala Harris to be president. And I think that for Biden, Biden is really in this very awkward position where he has been abandoned by his own party while he's still president. And the person who was given the nod over him was soundly defeated. And so I think that he has some standing now to say, I told you that she was not up to it, and I told you I would be better. Now, we actually have him, New York Post had the whip reader. Lip reader. Thank you very much. The phrase escaped me, but that he said to Barack Obama at the Ethel Kennedy funeral that I'm stronger than she is, and that goes down in history that he may well have been. We'll never know, of course, and he was not strong when he was forced off the ticket, but she never quite measured up, and it became impossible to
it wasn't
view
supposed
her
to
as
be
president.
Michael, it wasn't supposed to be her, because if it's Barack Obama, President Obama, orchestrating it along with Nancy Pelosi, it wasn't supposed to be.
It's supposed to be a
Kamala.
primary.
Obama wanted to take it a different direction, and the only reason is when President Biden realized that he's been cooped. Then he jumped and says, "Let's go to Kamala." That's how it happened.
Yeah, because remember, first he resigned, John, and then it was a few minutes later, I support Kamala, and he kind of shut down the primary.
Well, of course, that's exactly what he did.
It was
So who says he's lost? So who said he lost all his brains? He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, blank you.
Well,
right?
they boxed themselves in, because there's no way they would have gotten rid of Kamala Harris without a real firestorm. I mean, so
I agree with you, Rudy. I think that was the minute they passed over Biden and pushed him off, there was no other avenue for the party. You would have divided the party. Women would have been furious. perhaps many black voters would have been furious. I think many rank-and-file Democrats would have said, "Well, how are we going to have this primary system by phone?" I mean, don't forget, it was the end of July we're talking about here. Biden had the 98% of the Democrats, the delegates had voted for him. He was officially, it happens at the convention, but he was all but officially the nominee. He received all the delegates' votes. They had fought to keep others off of the ballot. Remember, RFK Jr., Dean Phillips, they all wanted to run in the primary. The party kept them off and handed it to Biden, and now suddenly they were handing it to somebody else. I mean, it was a very strange sequence of events, and I think at some point Joe Biden will write about this, and I think it will be fascinating because there's still a lot we don't know about what was said. For me, the big outstanding question is, did they threaten to use the 25th Amendment to force him out and to force him out of the presidency if he didn't get off the ticket? That, to me, is the big question that I have.
Yeah, the nice way, or remember they said Nancy Pelosi said we can do it the
easy
tough
way or the hard way.
Right. That's like 25th or not.
She's one tough lady.
Yeah, she sure is.
Michael, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts about these appointments that President-elect Trump is making?
Well, look, I think overall what they really reflect is Donald Trump's determination to shake up Washington. This is of course about his agenda, but today I watching these names roll out the last couple of days, I thought this is beyond just the things he said. This is really about shaking up Washington, and particularly this idea of Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy going after roughly a third of the federal budget. Now, will they get there? That's hard to envision. Nonetheless, whatever they do is gravy, and it's an improvement over where we are. I think many of these picks are very interesting in their own right. They show the Trump stamp on the government, on the bureaucracy. Of course, the Matt Gaetz one is, I think, the most problematic. And I would like to hear President Trump explain that more, because
I'll give you my analysis. One less problem for Mike Johnson.
Well, that's quite of a failing up solution.
The Peter principle.
But look, he really undermined Kevin McCarthy, whom I thought Trump was close to and supported. Gaetz really drove him out of that job. I think Gaetz spent a lot of Republican energy and time when there wasn't much of either during this last 2 years, and I think it hurt the party. It hurt the party's image. It looked as though it couldn't govern. So I'm not really sure why Matt Gaetz is being rewarded by Donald Trump.
Absolutely. Michael Goodwin, thank you very much. We always love having you on, Michael Goodwin. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you all.
Janine Pirro here for Colonial Metals Group. Colonial Metals Group helps Americans protect their future with the most trusted store of wealth in human history, physical gold and silver. If you're retiring or retired, go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/Pirro for your free Janine Pirro Colonial Metals Group Retirement Protection Kit, or call 800-965-8004. 800-965-8004 now to receive a free home safe and up to $7,500 in free silver.